Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
Each week on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week that list includes Murder by Numbers, Rescue Pets, and Final Fantasy meets Animal Crossing somehow.
Oh, weird.
What is that about?
Oh, stay tuned.
Okay, excellent.
Stay tuned and find out.
Hmm.
Yeah. How was your weekend? I kind of just stayed in, and I was like, pretty typical weekend for me. Just stayed in, played Final Fantasy for like 48 hours straight. Didn't really go outside at all.
Good.
Not really reading the news or anything. What did you get up to? You always like to go out to like a concert or something. You go out and hang out with just crowds and crowds of people like you usually do?
No, it was just some kind of odd group of occurrences where, geez, everything we wanted to do outside of the house got canceled this weekend.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Well, hope you get right back to it next weekend.
You know the John Mulaney bit about canceling plans is like heroin?
Oh, that's my favorite.
It was kind of like that. It was very liberating. Yeah. But so we certainly hope everybody is enjoying some quality social distancing.
Okay, yeah. Bit over.
Yeah.
It's been super weird.
Yeah.
I've been doing a little social distancing, not of my own volition.
Slightly more than usual. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on some levels, I'm just like, fine. I guess I'll just not go outside. But
I always did that. I didn't know it had a name, right?
Yeah. Who knew there were like whole there was a whole tutorial or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's been weird though. This is like day. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to, like, my job, as soon as the situation started getting a little sketchy, they were just like, okay, everybody just please work from home. So I was doing that for most of last week. And it wasn't really until Thursday or Friday that I just started doing the full, stay indoors, social distance kind of thing. So it's like day 3 of that. Mm-hmm. It feels like decade 3.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like, man, I wish I had more bread. I'll just go get some. And I'm like, maybe not a good idea to go get some more bread.
Yeah, you need the whole spacesuit thing and get you to seriously reconsider how desperately you need that bread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make some bread.
Make some bread. I don't know if that is easier said than done.
Yeah.
There's a reason sliced bread in the store is so popular.
Yeah, more popular than sliced bread. That's where that phrase comes from. Yeah. No, I can do quick breads. I can make banana bread all day, but I don't know if I know how to make a loaf of bread. I
did recently buy some yeast for some reason. I feel like that is like the key ingredient that I would otherwise be lacking. I think I've got, what else is it? It's like flour, mostly flour and water.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I'll get back to you with my new bread business.
All right. I believe in you. Yeah. But certainly we hope everybody is safe. We hope everybody is washing their hands vigorously. And enjoying some quality time at home with or without loved ones, your choice, and playing video games.
Yeah. Is that what you've been doing?
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit. I mean, things around the house, watching some TV, watching movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, still venturing. I mean, the streets are relatively empty, so we ventured out every now and then, a couple little walks, take the dogs out, that kind of stuff. But yeah, kind of peaceful, kind of quiet, not a lot of chaos, thank God.
That's good. Yeah, I haven't heard of any mobs or riots or anything. I missed the whole, I don't know if there was chaos at my grocery store. By the time I got there, lots of there were a lot of empty shelves, but I don't know if there was like a mob at any point. I feel like
descending on the toilet paper. Yeah. No, we hit the grocery store Saturday to try to do a bit of a stock up, and no, people were generally. I mean, it was busy, but people were pretty patient and pretty cool, and say excuse me as they walked past, and nobody coughed on me or anything.
Atmosphere.
So yeah,
because it was like. Seems, maybe just a little bit busier than normal. But you could definitely tell something was up. I don't know, just the way people were kind of darting around the store and like talking to each other, like, oh, what else do we need? That sort of stuff.
Yeah. We hit Wegmans, which is sort of a big, I think kind of, what area am I in? Mid-Atlantic grocery store chain. They're like, like a Whole Foods almost, but they're massive. And they're generally very well stocked. Like their produce section is just huge. And they have their own in-store bakery, in-store pizzeria. And it's just kind of abundance as far as the eye can see. And this was the first time I've ever been there where it was sort of like, ooh, well, there's a lot of empty shelves in the store in a way that I had never seen before. So that was a little surprising. But it wasn't like, I don't know, end of days where, the shelves were barren. It was just lightly stocked. Yeah. Yeah. And they were enforcing limits on stuff. There were signs everywhere that were like, no more than 2 boxes of cereal per person. And Sarah and I were like, we're 2 people. That's 4 boxes.
That's fair. That's fair,
yep,
I think.
Absolutely.
You're not like the hand sanitizer guy who's got the storage unit full of the Costco pallets or whatever.
17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer. No, certainly nothing like that.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yep. That's just a bad person.
Well,
yeah.
I hope everybody else out there is staying healthy, first of all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And staying sane, because it's a pretty unprecedented situation. It's actually, I don't think it's sunken in still, just how unusual this is.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the phrase? May you live in interesting times?
Yeah.
Done. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
We got that.
No,
absolutely.
I don't need it.
No,
I want to live
fine.
in boring times.
I've seen your interesting times, and I choose another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we tried it for a little bit, and it's like, no, this is way more interesting than I ever requested.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen enough movies to know how this ends, so.
Ugh.
Yeah. Let's hope none of them are right.
That's ominous.
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Keep it wholesome. I don't want to go down a weird dark hole with that. Yeah. I have a little 28 days on the brain lately, and I'm like 28 days later. I'm like, no, let's go a different way.
Yeah, you're not talking about the Sandra Bullock rehab movie.
No, I'm definitely not that. No, I'm talking about this screaming, snarling, running down the street.
I mean,
zombies.
which is fine if that's like your comfort movie. You want to just put that on. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man. Anyway, I hope everybody is doing whatever works for them in these weird times that we live in. And in my case, it's just playing Final Fantasy and watching Netflix stuff. Apparently,
yeah. We've not really gotten into the Netflix thing yet. We have a list going. We're like, if this thing goes a little nutty, we're going to start with this show. And then we're going to do this other show. So we have maybe a quarantine wish list, but have not really dipped into that yet. We're still pretty well stocked on. We've got New Westworld started this week. Better Call Saul's back. So we've got enough current affairs kind of television without having to dip too deeply into old TV.
All right.
Yeah.
I just made it through an old season of Better Call Saul, and it was
nice.
Terrific. So
yeah, it's good stuff.
I feel like I can jump on the new one.
Greetings from the future. I can tell you exactly. I will not tell you, but yeah, quality television.
Yeah, that's good.
So what has been? You said Final Fantasy 14 has been occupying your video game time.
It has.
Yeah. Are you a pretty consistent Final Fantasy 14 player, or do you just sort of binge occasionally? Because it seems like you go a little while without really talking about it, and then there's an update or something new is happening in the game, and then you're on it again like crazy. Do you just not check in weekly?
I do not check in weekly. I play it like literally every day.
Oh, wow.
That comes as a shock.
It is, yeah, because you don't talk about it on every episode. So
No, I mean, it's like...
thank you.
No,
but,
part of that is out of consideration for you. And
Nobody
also, I don't think it would be interesting if I just talk about it every week. I could probably find something unusual because I think I approach the game from somewhat of a unique perspective or like with a unique mindset, in that I'm always just kind of looking for a strange, like, not cultural things, but I'm just kind of, I don't know, fascinated by just the MMO experience.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't want to subject people to hearing about it every week.
So I'm flashing back to my PAX East experience and sort of the discussion about cozy games.
Oh no, that's what I was going to say. That's where I was going with this. Okay. Is that that's basically like Destiny for me. Like I'll just come home after work, or in this case, for the last week, just decide it's time to close my laptop and just hang out for a little bit, and eventually I'll just throw on Final Fantasy and just leave it there, even if I'm like end up playing another game elsewhere, for instance. Just because, I mean, there's always some stuff happening, so it's just a thing I like to have in the background.
And do you generally, are there like people you're meeting and hanging out with in the game, or you're pretty much a solo player, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll like do stuff with people. I mentioned my friend just got to the end game recently, so we've been running a lot of stuff. Yeah. Also, there was just when I was going to talk about this new patch that came out like a month ago, and then we got sidetracked. There was like all the PAX East stuff happening, and then I forget what happened after that. But they do these periodic just content drops in the form of these big patches every like 3 to 4 months. And man, this is something like I really feel like on some level everybody should play some kind of MMO once in their life. Like if you're really not everybody, but like everybody who's really into video games.
My mom, DJ, my mom.
Might be interesting. I mean, definitely be an experience. Yeah. I don't know what your mom's into. But like everybody who's really into video games should play some kind of MMO at least once. And that could include something like Destiny, or just some kind of like living game that has periodic updates and kind of changes over time.
Right.
Because it's such a, different experience than, for instance, if you only played single player games for your entire gaming career, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do. But I just think it's it's a cool experience and it's very unique. But what I was going to talk about, it's funny that they released this patch like a month ago. And I didn't especially want to talk about the specifics of what was included in the patch, but just the experience of having these periodic patches come out. Because basically what will happen is, they'll be hyping up this patch for like weeks or months, depending on what's coming out. And usually the stuff that people look forward to, there's like new dungeons to run, there's new bosses to fight, new loot and all that stuff. And then just a whole bunch of other new features, whatever kind of variety of stuff they're going to include that patch. And then it comes up to like the night before patch day. They usually take the game offline for sometimes up to 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So at that point, everybody is just like freaking out, being like, "Oh, what are you looking forward to in the new patch? What do you think there's going to be?" Because there's always some surprises as well. Mm-hmm. And then on the actual patch day, first of all, there's like people who stay up until like 3 a.m. or whatever when the servers come back online.
You've done that before.
I've done that in a few cases, yeah.
Yep.
But it's just like, it feels like Christmas almost, where there's like everybody logs back into the game. They're like running around. They're just like, what are you going to do first? What are you going to check out? What is that guy wearing? What kind of weapon is that? What kind of animal is he riding? It's just like a whole bunch of just weird new stuff happening in the game.
Right, because you play this thing so often, you get accustomed to sort of seeing the stuff in it, and then there's new stuff suddenly, and you're blown away by that.
Right, so it's a slightly different. I mean, maybe this sounds not incredibly exciting because you've played games where, like, you play this game forever, and they come out with a sequel, and you're like, oh, what's new in the sequel, or what's new in the big expansion pack, or the map pack, or whatever. But in a lot of cases, that's like, it's almost like going to a completely different game. But this is like, it's the same game that you're very familiar with, just evolving in weird new directions, which I think is very different than, just slapping on the new map pack or character pack or whatever for your other game.
Right.
So I think that's cool, but it's something I really wish that Animal Crossing would adapt, especially coming out of the latest Animal Crossing Direct. This is how long I wanted to talk about this. I forgot how long ago that Direct was. But I just wish that other, like, fans of other games, Animal Crossing in particular, could have this MMO patch day experience, because it's so exciting and it's so unlike any other experience in another game, I think. I kind of wish Animal Crossing would just become an MMO.
Well, I mean, is it comparable to kind of the special events in Animal Crossing? I mean, to wake up when wake up. I would like, you start your day in Animal Crossing and you venture out of your house and suddenly it's the holiday celebration and the reindeer is running around town, or it's Bunny Day and there's the Easter bunnies has shown up, and Halloween is the best, of course, because it's Halloween. But things like that, or there are days where you wake up and there's a fishing competition in town or stuff like that. So is that not sort of satisfy that desire?
It's similar, yeah. It's not quite on the same magnitude, though.
Because those are events, and what you're not necessarily talking about like there's a challenge happening in the game today. You're talking about some fundamental change to kind of the world you live in. Yeah,
and like all the Animal Crossing seasonal events are super fun, but they're all kind of similar.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
Yes.
I mean, if you really analyze all the new Final Fantasy content, I'm sure you could say that a lot of that stuff is similar too.
Yeah, and they're generally sort of collectathons. It's sort of, there's a character in town for a short period of time, and he has a cool set of furniture that you can ask him for a piece of every single day, or something along those lines.
Right. Yeah. But what got me really intrigued is in this latest Animal Crossing Direct, where they just talked about the new Animal Crossing game for like 40 minutes, or it actually wasn't that long. It was like 20 minutes, right?
It was about a half hour. Yeah.
Okay. Split the difference.
Somewhere in the middle, yeah.
They mentioned that they would be updating the game with all these seasonal events, right? Because they weren't going to be in the game at launch. Right,
yeah. So that's this is a change, and I'm not sure if this is what you were sort of trying to explore, but just for the listeners who are not accustomed to this thing, historically in an Animal Crossing game, when you buy the cartridge essentially for your 3DS or whatever console, like the whole game is on there. And if you time travel, if you play with the clock in your device, you can go to a specific day in the future and those events will appear. So if you go to December 24th, it's the Christmas event in Animal Crossing, and Christmas things are happening and trees are decorated with lights and blah, blah, blah. The newest version of Animal Crossing New Horizons that comes out, within a few hours of this episode dropping, those are patched into the game. Those are kind of live updates to the game, essentially. They're not actually in the package on day one when you buy it.
Yeah.
So that is kind of an interesting way for Nintendo to deliver these things, and it's very different from what they've done in the past.
Yeah, and I like it for a lot of reasons. Like, one, it seems much more developer friendly. Like, why would they need to be doing stuff? Why would they need to have spent cycles working on like a Valentine's Day event when that just happened and that won't come up in the game for like a year probably?
Sure. And I think that's interesting that maybe this year's Valentine's Day event is a little different from next year's. That if you have the sort of the lifetime of this game with people playing it like Animal Crossing players play these games, there's incentive and motivation and now opportunity to kind of mix them up a little bit from year to year. So it's not quite the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so now you're starting to think along the
Are we on the same page, DJ?
Yeah. So I was actually, I didn't even consider that, but that is a very real, very MMO kind of thing. But I was just thinking, so in addition to these events, who knows what other kind of stuff they could have planned for future Animal Crossing updates? Because up until this point, there's never been an update for an Animal Crossing game, as far as I'm aware of. Right? I mean, even the 3DS one, which was much more connected than any of their previous ones have been, that never really got a big update, did it?
Look at the Amiibo update.
I feel like I got the Amiibo thing.
Yeah, Welcome Amiibo, which, that was a pretty fundamental change to the map in your town. There was a whole second section that had like a food truck park in it, essentially, and villagers, visitors would come in their food truck or their camper to come hang out with you. And it was essentially a way of getting people ported over to Pocket Camp once that launched. But it was this, it changed the map in the town, and that was... kind of revolutionary.
Maybe I missed it. Maybe I had stopped playing at that point.
I think many had, yeah.
But anyway, that sounds very exciting. But what if that stuff just happened like clockwork every few months? That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And as you put it, I hadn't even considered that they would change up the seasonal events every year, but because the previous versions, they're all exactly the same from year to year. But they could totally do that now.
Yeah. That was one of the things that was kind of, and I remember you and I and Paul actually having this conversation shortly after New Leaf, the last Animal Crossing game, came out, and that villagers would find you sometimes and play games with you. They would play hide and seek and stuff like that. And that had not previously happened in Animal Crossing games. So it added a layer of kind of immersion and just one more kind of fun thing to do as you're running around town, doing your chores, essentially. So I was happy to see in some of the reviews for New Horizons that came out this week that it seems like the villagers have a few more things in the repertoire that they can kind of play with you, just to kind of mix up some of your experiences day to day. And that was one of those things that I thought, well, since this is kind of a live, air quotes, game, maybe they could add more of those things over time, or different ones, or limited time ones. That kind of stuff would make it more interesting.
I don't know about the limited time stuff. That starts to sound like those Monster Hunter events to me. But maybe.
Well, I mean, everything in Animal Crossing is on a calendar, so...
True.
Yeah.
The thing is that everything up to this point, it's been, like, if you miss it, you can be like, oh, I guess I'll just do it next year.
It'll be back next year. Exactly.
Yeah, whereas some of the stuff now, it's like, oh, if I miss it, will it ever come back? Who knows?
It's gone forever. Yeah.
That's terrifying. That sounds stressful. Very un-Animal Crossing.
It is so not the experience, people have historically had with Animal Crossing.
It'd be interesting, though. It'd be a very big change for the series.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. And one of the things that I sort of like about it is that time travelers, and again, to sort of over-explain, are people who futz with the clock in their device to be able to see parts of Animal Crossing that are coming up in the future. And since the Switch version... and again, the reviews have said, yes, you can time travel, but a lot of that stuff kind of off in the future isn't patched into the game yet. So people who are time traveling are not seeing things in the future and reporting back. They're not getting items and clothing and stuff like that will only be released for like seasonal events or special events in the future, because that stuff just isn't in the game yet.
Yeah.
So it's a little more kind of spoiler free than some of the previous Animal Crossing experiences, since the world kind of got connected in time for New Leaf. Or it was hard to sort of avoid those things on the internet, and you'd see people kind of wearing clothes, be like, where the hell did you get that? And like, well, I time traveled to next Christmas, and it's a hat I got on Christmas Day. Yeah,
that's kind of amazing, actually. I wonder if it'll still work like that, if like once the events are in the game, or if it'll be more like a live service game where it'll have to check like, well, what's the actual date on some server in Nintendo headquarters somewhere. Yeah. Oh, it's February 14th. Okay, turn on the Valentine's event.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we know yet. To be determined. Yeah.
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I was kind of bummed out when I go to somebody's town. They're like, oh, I already have everything in the game because I time traveled. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I have always firmly believed that time traveling is cheating. I don't time travel when I play Animal Crossing. The part of the experience of Animal Crossing is that slow reveal, is that sort of day-to-day experience, and I try to savor that. I am fundamentally opposed to rushing the clock to be able to experience those things.
Yeah. I mean,
you do you. People play your game. You play your game any way you want to. I don't give a shit about that. But for me, I don't want to time travel. That's not what that game, that experience is about for me.
Yeah, I think that's a big, like a real key component of the game as well. Is just the day to day. The fact that everything passes in real time.
Yeah,
not having to like stress out and like collect everything immediately.
Yep. It's funny that you sort of went here and sort of made the pivot from Final Fantasy to Animal Crossing, because one of the things that I get asked occasionally, particularly on social media, we actually were asked this in our Discord just recently, is can you explain the appeal of Animal Crossing to me? Because I think a lot of people kind of bounce off like these obsessives like myself and are left kind of wondering, I don't get it. So trying to explain it obviously is hard, but I think to a certain degree you and I have done a little bit of that right here in talking about kind of what, at the very least, we've liked about the games in the past.
Yeah. Are you talking about like just in the last 20 minutes or in the last 6 or 7 years of talking about Animal Crossing?
No, the last kind of 20 minutes of us talking about kind of Final Fantasy and Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to burn anyone out on Final Fantasy because I think it's a really unique kind of experience.
Yeah, and certainly there is Animal Crossing conversation to have, so maybe it doesn't seem like it necessarily, but I've kind of throttled back on some of the craziness.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, you would not be able to tell, I'm sure.
It's hard to tell, but...
Yeah.
Well, I can only imagine just the full Animal Crossing, I don't know, superfan unleashed.
We are going to have to come up with an internal guideline on Video Game Hangover of just how much Animal Crossing we could possibly tolerate after this game comes out, because certainly after that first week, it's going to be nutty.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose any listeners. Yeah.
Anyway, I have a question for you regarding Animal Crossing, which is, should I get this Animal Crossing? I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were in. Yeah, I mean, of course, I think you should get it, but
right.
I don't know. Yeah, you. I remember you being super into New Leaf when it came out, but you were done well before I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So I love Animal Crossing. It was probably my most played game on the OG DS. I started, my first Animal Crossing game was Animal Crossing Wild World. I played that game literally every day for like 2.5 years, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's a lot of time spent in this game.
Yeah.
I really bounced off Animal Crossing City Folk, which is the Wii one. And partially because it just wasn't a very good game. It was like a very direct copy of Wild World with just a few new features added. I think that's not a lot of the general sentiment about that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like New Leaf, but at the same time, there was just, I mean, it's so familiar. It really hasn't changed a lot since Wild World. And I know a lot of people who have been playing since the GameCube version, and they will say that about Wild World. Like, even that game was not a significant advance over the GameCube. Which, of course, makes me sad because that was my first Animal Crossing, and it was all new to me at the time. So I was like, oh, how can you not appreciate all of this stuff? But I get it after having played the sequels. So I'm wondering, like, well, each one I've kind of played less than the previous one. And as cool as all the new stuff looks in this new one, I just totally see myself having that same kind of, like, timeline where it's like, oh, it's a new Animal Crossing, it's so exciting. And then just a few months later, I'm like, oh, that's enough for me.
Yeah. But is it worth it to have had those few months to kind of play around with it and experience it and be part of, I don't know, be part of this weird cultural thing that's happening in gaming right now, which is very crazy Animal Crossing?
I do feel a lot of pressure on that front. It's just like, just the realization that, like, man, probably everybody I know is going to be like, this is all they're going to talk about for a week at least. I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not so worried, but I'm just like worried in the sense that, like, oh, should I be playing this then?
Yeah.
Am I wrong for not playing it?
That sort of subtle iteration between versions of Animal Crossing is part of the cozy factor for a lot of players. I think if it was a radical departure, if suddenly you booted it up and it was Blade Runner inside your village, I think that would be that would be jarring to a lot of people, and a lot of us that are sort of like obsessed with kind of the warm, comfortable blanket that is Animal Crossing, like that sort of slow iteration. It seems like, in fact, a lot of the changes that have been made to this version, to New Horizons, are kind of quality of life things, where you have a little more storage, where it's a little easier to access your tools, and keep things organized in your life. It seems to be a bit of a much bigger kind of blank canvas for kind of building and terraforming and decorating, not just your house, but your town now. Your island. So yeah, it seems like a sort of a. I'm sorry.
You can terraform.
Yeah. Yes, you can build ponds and lakes and rivers and plateaus and stuff like that in places where there were not before.
I look at all that and that looks super cool. I like the idea that you could, like, build a park and have furniture outside and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I think, like, man, it took me so long to just, like, decorate my house in Final Fantasy. How am I going to deal with doing that for an entire town? And that's another thing where I have trepidation about this is I think back to when Fantasy Life came out and how excited I was for that game and how on paper that sounds like it should have been, like, my favorite game of all time. And then as I played it, it was just like, well, this is all stuff that I am currently doing in Final Fantasy. It's just not as good. Like it's just a worse version of everything from this other game. And on some level, Animal Crossing has always filled, like, a little bit of, I mean, it's always kind of scratched this MMO itch that I didn't realize I had, because it actually plays much more similarly to an MMO than you might expect. But just like everything is very kind of gradual and long-term. it's all about you developing this character over like a long period of time and just like accumulating things and watching the environment develop around them, I guess.
Yeah, and it is, I suspect, like a MMO kind of built for keeping you coming back. There's a lot of stuff that happens in Animal Crossing that's sort of like only 3 days until this exciting thing happens. Only 2 days until this exciting thing happens. So, like as a gamer who is susceptible to that kind of tease, I'm going to check in tomorrow and the day after into the day after until that thing happens. And I get the impression from hearing you talk about Final Fantasy and Star Trek Online and stuff like that over the years that there is a lot of that built into the MMO experience as well.
Yeah, I think they've actually done a really amazing job of just taking whatever that like ephemeral quality of an online game is and putting it into Animal Crossing, which, you know, you could just play entirely offline if you felt like it, but it's got the same kind of rhythm of like stuff like just drip fed to you over like years and years of playing the same game over and over.
Yep. And that doesn't work for some gamers. Some gamers are very impatient about that kind of thing and
so they time travel.
Time travel, exactly right, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I like Animal Crossing, so I know that I enjoy it for a few months, but I wonder if I'm just like, am I just adding another MMO to my plate here? Am I going to even have time to play this while I'm, you know, the new patch is coming out, I got to go craft some stuff or whatever?
Only you can answer that, DJ. I mean, I would love to share this experience with you, but I mean, yeah, you kind of got a lot on your plate right now.
I'm very conflicted. I also just like, I know they're going to have a Switch Pro at some point. I don't know how the everybody's making such a big deal about like your Animal Crossing island this time is locked to your Switch rather than your profile, your memory card or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if I upgrade my Switch, am I going to be able to move my town? I don't know. I think about these things.
Yeah, none of us know.
Well, I got a few days to think about it. We'll see if I just cave under pressure.
It is imminent, but yeah, you know, take your time.
Yeah.
Hey, we should talk about some of the other games we've been playing lately. What else has been occupying your time that is not Final Fantasy related?
You want to talk about Murder by Numbers?
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
So this is a fun little game that popped up on the Switch in the past week or so. I'm not sure if it's on other devices. Do you know?
I do not.
Yes.
I'll continue talking. So I will find out.
We know it's on the Switch. It is called Murder by Numbers. It is kind of a murder mystery visual novel where some of the clues are hidden behind picross puzzles.
Yes.
Yes. So,
in fact, all of the clues are hidden behind picross puzzles.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. That's true. So yeah, you are an actress from a murder mystery television show that has just gone on its hiatus, who gets sort of embroiled in real life murder. And you partner up with an unusual partner who helps you kind of scan the environment for clues and interview other people for information. And in the course of doing so, every time you find a clue, every time you find some new sort of little bit of story reveal, it is a puzzle for you to solve. It's a picross puzzle, in fact, for you to solve. And you go from kind of interview, procedural, scan the environment, look for clues, to sitting around and doing some picross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to explain picross. I don't know how just ubiquitous it is, but it's just like a number logic puzzle, essentially.
Right.
It's like Sudoku, but good.
Yeah, and if you're good at it, hopefully a picture emerges when you're done with it, and you get this sort of satisfying wrap up of going, oh, it's a thing, it's a whatever.
Yeah, you're like,
it's a dog.
I'll take your word for it. Most of the time.
Yeah,
but yeah, I've heard this described as like Phoenix Wright plus picross, which is pretty accurate, I'd say. It's like it's like Phoenix Wright minus the courtroom scenes plus picross.
Yeah, and I think it what I like that it does, that Phoenix Wright does really well as well, is sort of peopling the world with very eccentric characters. Mm-hmm. Everybody is just a hair short of batty, are very sort of flamboyantly dressed and speak in very sort of flamboyant and interesting ways. Yeah, so you have some really kind of fun dialogue and interactions with everybody that you encounter, and everybody is sort of notable and memorable and wacky. Yeah, I think they've done a really good job of aping or tributing that kind of iconic Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney world of very colorful characters.
They really have, and like it's clear in a lot of places how much this is modeled directly off of Phoenix Wright. I'm not saying that as like a slam against it, but very clearly they were fans of Phoenix Wright and were like, hey, let's make something like that. So they've taken a lot of cues, especially when you're talking to other characters. They will react with like, I don't know, they'll get like the little sweat drop, or there'll be a big, like a gong or a crash or something whenever one of them is excited or surprised. It feels very familiar in a really good way.
Yeah, I love it. And it's all of these little characters are sort of represented in kind of, you know, minimal animation. This is not, it's not like FMV or anything like that. It's you know, a couple of little talking heads in a lot of ways. And so yeah, when a character does go into sort of like a shocked expression, or like a hangdog kind of sad, kind of like, oh no, I got called out kind of thing, it is typically just sort of a graphic of a very exaggerated facial expression with body posture that goes with it. And it's just very kind of entertaining and very much a tribute to kind of the structure and design of a Phoenix Wright game. Yeah.
And for the most part, it's like not irritating in the way that Phoenix Wright games could get very annoying, in that at their heart they are like a point and click adventure game essentially. And so you would spend a lot of time just clicking on stuff, being like, was this important? Well, it's not important. Or showing people every single item in your evidence bag and being like, is this relevant? No. Neither is this one. And also, we're going to dock you some points here. Like, oh, fine.
Yep. But, or we're going to kick you out of court, and it's going to be game over, and you have to watch 40 minutes of cutscenes over again.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Silly like that. Yeah.
That sounds like Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, that's very, yes. And to be clear, that's Phoenix Wright. That's not Murder by Numbers. Phoenix Wright is...
Yeah. So far, that hasn't happened to me in this. There have been a few points where, you know, I've had to present evidence to somebody else, so they will ask me, like, well, who do you think killed this person? And have me select a few answers, but none of them have been like painful to the point where, you know, I'm just like going through my entire bag to show them stuff, or having to rewatch cutscenes or anything. So it's been a very smooth experience, which I'm very grateful for.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I think the thing that I find kind of most, I would say, disappointing about the Murder by Numbers experience is that the picross puzzles are not good.
Oh, they're not good? I think they're fine.
I don't know. I think sometimes as I'm doing a picross puzzle in nearly any other game that has had picross puzzles in it, I get maybe 50% to 3/4 of the way through a puzzle. And I'm like, oh, I know what this is. I get what they're doing. I know exactly what the image is that I'm completing. And 9 times out of 10, I am putting the last piece in place in a Murder by Numbers picross, and I have no clue what I've just made. And
I agree with that.
It kind of colors it in, and the little screen flashes, and it says it's a gun, or it's a ID badge or something, and I'm like, are you sure? Because I don't see it.
I think that's definitely something I noticed. Like the pixel art, the final pixel art of each puzzle is not especially great.
No.
Like the Jupiter guys, who are the ones who make all the Nintendo Picross games, and I think the Pokemon and Zelda ones as well, are super good with the pixel art illustrations.
Yeah.
And in this, I think there was one that was like a fax machine, but it was just it was pretty much just like a gray blob with a bunch of buttons, I guess, on it. I mean, it's kind of incidental, because when you're solving the puzzle, what the final image is has really no bearing on how you solve the puzzle, because you're just looking at all the numbers lined up on the grid. But it is kind of just hilarious when you solve one. You're just like, what is this? Somebody help me out here.
Yeah. There is your character is a bit of a kind of minor television celebrity, and she finds an action figure of her, or of a character from the TV show she's on, and you complete the picross, and you're like, oh, it's an action figure of my co-star, and I'm like, what? I I don't see that at all. I'm not sure where you're getting that. But again, my reaction is irrelevant because in the game they acknowledge that it's an action figure and that moves the story forward.
Yeah.
It's just from a sort of satisfaction of completing the puzzle standpoint, and I like picross. It's a little underwhelming to not be able to sort of discern what it is the heck that I'm making.
I just thought it would be hysterical if you solved the puzzle and they were like, "Oh, it's an action figure," and they just held up like the 4x8 pixel puzzle that you just completed, and it just looked like complete garbage when they're like showing it to people.
I'm glad that it also doesn't hinge on me being able to figure out what it is. If it would be sort of like you put in the final piece, it goes, "Your puzzle's complete. What is it?" And you have to sort of type in the answer.
Like, docked 100 points, go back to chapter 1.
Yeah, exactly. It deletes your save, uninstalls the game from your device. Yeah. No, that would be tragic, and I'm glad it doesn't play that way. Yeah. So yeah, for me thus far, it has been a delight playing this thing that sort of so apes and echoes and tributes kind of my experience with the Phoenix Wrights game, which of course has its frustrations, but I really enjoy and I'm a big fan of. So to see this thing that sort of tributes that is fun. I wish the picross puzzles were a little better.
For the most part, I'm fine with the picross puzzles. I mean,
I'm still playing it. It hasn't made me stop playing them.
Yeah,
but every time I finish one now, I'm like, oh, brother.
Never met a picross puzzle I don't like.
Yeah,
but I'm just like...
You're a little less discerning about those things than I am, maybe.
Endlessly amused by the final results. And they're just like, oh, is that what it is? Oh, sure, fine. Just give me the next puzzle.
If you say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the next one? Exactly. Let me scan the environment and find another one.
Yeah. I was like, I really love the soundtrack in this. The soundtrack is extremely good. Starting out, it's clear that, like I said, they're trying to, like, it's almost an homage to Phoenix Wright in just about every aspect of this game. But the soundtrack especially, I was like, man, they are really just shamelessly going for, like, hey, let's just take the Phoenix Wright soundtrack and just change it a little bit. Or they went out and asked somebody like, hey, the Phoenix Wright games, can you just compose a soundtrack that sounds exactly like those? So I was like, wow, they really went for it with the soundtrack. And I looked it up, and it's actually the same composer who did Phoenix Wright 1 and 2.
Oh, excellent.
So it's like, oh, wow. Well, props to them for managing to get this guy. That's incredible.
That's a great get. Yeah, absolutely.
It is. So really good. I'm just having a great time doing picross puzzles with this terrific soundtrack in the background. Just very
murder mysteries.
Very upbeat and peppy. Like if you ever played a Phoenix Wright game, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Excellent.
Super good. I completely recommend this.
Yeah, I've had a really good time with it. It's been a nice little time filler, a little distraction.
Yeah. Oh, and it is, so to answer the question from a few minutes ago, it is out on Switch and looks like Steam for the time being.
Oh, okay. Cool. More games can put picross puzzles in them. That's fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I wonder if this is, like, I've seen a lot of people get into it because they are picross fans. But I wonder if it's making any waves in like the Ace Attorney, like Phoenix Wright circles, because I've seen people mentioning like it's been a while since the last one of those games came out. I wonder if there's another one planned.
Yeah,
people are like reaching for similar stuff,
repackaging the old games and not putting out any new ones. So I don't know what it'll take to get a new Ace Attorney game.
Maybe the next one will just have picross puzzles in it. I would definitely not complain.
Yeah, or maybe who is it? Capcom owns Phoenix Wright. Maybe they'll hire this little indie developer to make the next Phoenix Wright game. That'd be amazing.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
they can get some of the Jupiter people to come in and give them some pixel art pointers.
Polish those pixel art. Yeah, puzzles a little better. Yeah. Cool. The other game I wanted to talk about this week was this little game that I discovered at PAX East and have kind of had a lot of fun with over the last couple of weeks, and it is called Rescue Pets. This is, if you listen to my PAX East show, this is a little clicker game that I found on the show floor and spent probably a little too much annoying time with the developer talking about how cute my dogs were. Yeah, but it is a clicker game for your phone. It's on iOS and Android, where you run an animal rescue. Kinda.
Yeah. Kinda.
Yeah.
In as much as you run anything in a clicker game.
Right, exactly. You have a little doggo. He is a corgi named Corkster, or you can change his name if you'd like. And he basically barks and woofs and dances and hops around as you push buttons and earn billions of dollars in coins running his rescue.
Yeah, literally billions. Like, it's not very long into the game when you're just sitting on billions of coins.
Yeah, no, it was like day 4 or something like that, and I opened my phone and I had like $9.6 million, and I was like, wow, I am rescuing all the pets. Yeah, and you use that to sort of upgrade a series of little meters that give you the ability to buy more food quicker or build more dog houses or on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's upgrades, make all the billions of coins as they come streaming in through the little mailboxes in the game, and channel those into further upgrades so that you can earn more coins faster, and upgrade.
Pretty typical clicker progression if you ever played like cookie clicker or whatever.
So I guess my question for you, you've been playing this too a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
How does this fare in comparison to your experience with previous clicker games? I know that you have explored the clicker genre quite a bit more than I have.
I have a lot of thoughts about this. I like I like it. It's good. It's a good clicker game. It worries me a little bit that it seems like it might be endless. Which I've played my share of endless clicker games. The ones I really end up enjoying the most tend to be the finite experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But at least this one is endless in a way that doesn't seem totally insidious, where it's just like, just play it forever and keep on giving us money and whatever. And even if you do give them money, in this case I believe it's going towards some kind of animal, like an actual animal shelter, which is cool.
Yeah, they have there's a shop in the game where you can trade in some of your coins and stuff like that to buy little costumes and things like that for your little corgi, and he rocks those as you're playing. Right now they have a St. Patrick's Day event going on where you can buy a little green costume and cape for your corgi. But they also have kind of a real world benefit shop that allows you access to little upgrades and costumes and stuff like that. And a portion of that money obviously supports the developer, but is also donated to real animal shelters in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, which is super good.
Yeah, it's super cool. And again, sort of flashing back to Mapaxi's show, they had pictures up in their booth of the real animals, the real pets that they've had a hand in supporting and seeing through to adoption. So yeah, there's a real world benefit to this thing that would otherwise probably just be kind of a fun disposable clicker experience.
Yeah. So I was going to say, it's almost like, they have that folding at home app on the PlayStation 3 where you could cure cancer.
Trying to cure cancer by leaving your PS3 on overnight.
Yeah, so, just play this like largely mindless game, but help some rescue pets at the same time. I think there's a screen in here, actually. I think it's on one of the shop screens, but will show you a photo of one of the pets at the shelter.
Oh, I think I remember seeing that as well, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also fun.
Yeah. But free to install, generally genuinely free to play unless you choose to be charitable and go for some of these other upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, plus it's a little bit like, virtual pet, because you can dress up the corgi and you buy different costumes for it, all that.
And he's adorable and does little dances and hops around and yips at you when you do good stuff.
Yeah. The thing that really throws me in this one is that it's not just you have money, but you also have you're maintaining the shelter, right? So you have your money and you have your shelter points, but then there are a whole bunch of these other categories. There's the happiness of your pets or something, or the cuteness of your shelter. Have you gotten into that at all?
I will admit that there are so many little meters and clickable things in this game that I don't quite know what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why are there these 3 separate categories for what? It's a little more complicated than I think the average clicker game, so it's taking me a little longer to really wrap my head around everything that's going on. But
I just keep trying to do stuff until I can't do stuff anymore, and then I close it and come back to it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to approach any clicker game, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's really when you just when you find yourself watching it and be like, oh, why won't this number go up faster? When you actually start clicking on it all the time, then that is time to put it down.
Right, exactly. So yeah, and I would recommend this. It's called Rescue Pets. If you have any interest in a clicker game or in actually sort of helping homeless pets, it's a fun little thing to keep on your phone and a cute little kind of check-in daily kind of diversion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig the mission of this development group and the way that they're sort of approaching it with what would otherwise be kind of a mindless, fun, clicky game to actually kind of have a real world benefit. I think that's great.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. I played Cookie Clicker for lots and lots of hours. I never saw a single cookie come out of that. So this is having some impact.
Excellent. Yeah. So I had, in talking to the devs at PAX East, they said they were working on ultimately getting kind of other models of pets in the game. They actually wanted to get cats in the game too for cat people.
Oh, there you go.
So this is a thing that they intend to continue to support and evolve over time. So yeah, check it out. It's called Rescue Pets. It is available on kind of both the devices. So, put it on your phone and help a pet.
Yeah.
What else? Is that it? That's the whole show, I think, right?
Is that it? Yeah, I got to get back to my my self-isolating. I don't know what
Your social distancing?
Yeah, social distancing.
There you go. Self-quarantining. Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if it's like right now everybody's just social distancing. Quarantine sounds like it's enforced. That sounds like it's a level we haven't quite reached yet. Sounds like they're going to come put a thing on my door.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that, DJ.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping it doesn't. It sounds bad.
Yeah, because you're almost out of bread.
Yeah. Then I don't know what I'm going to
do. All right. Well, good. I mean, that's the list. And certainly next week we will be checking in with Animal Crossing. I will have thoughts on that. Tune in next week for the Animal Crossing show.
Yeah.
As opposed to this week.
As opposed to like every previous show this year.
No, I swear, DJ and I are going to come up with a plan. We're not going to overwhelm you guys with Animal Crossing. We're going to do the one show when it comes out, and then we'll try to sort of, save it for the end in future weeks or something like that. So if you're not on board the Animal Crossing train, you can wrap up a little early if you want.
Yeah. If you're not on the Animal Crossing train and you're like, you still listen to the show every week, props to you for just hanging in there. We know it's been a tough year.
It. Yeah. I mean, you could be one of those passive-aggressive people on Twitter who listens to the show and then tweets at me going, "Hey, did you hear about this game, Animal Crossing?"
Did somebody do
I get
that?
it, guys. I get it. I get one or two of those in the past, yeah.
Okay.
Good-heartedly. No, I think no one's actually sort of making fun, but,
Okay.
I am not subtle with my obsessions at all. All right. Well, in the meantime, if you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. Or head to our blog at VGHangover.com. Would also recommend that you dip into our Discord. We had a couple of slow weeks, but now we are back, man, with a vengeance. It feels like the Discord is lit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's considering everything that's going on, it can be, it's nice to have a place where you can just chat with people. I'm considering doing I don't know. I'm at home a lot more than I used to be. So I'm considering doing some streaming more regularly, maybe in the evenings. Cool. I may try to involve the Discord somehow, but keep an eye out for that. I will have a plan together soon. We should also mention we have a new channel specifically for Animal Crossing chat, just so people, if you're one of those aforementioned people who are not into Animal Crossing, we're just not blowing up your phone with Animal Crossing stuff all the time.
Yeah, because it's gonna be intense this weekend, guys. Just letting you know.
Yeah, right. So prepare yourself. That was the brilliant idea of Discord user. I have it here somewhere. Essien, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yep. So that's very cool. We look forward to that if you're an Animal Crossing fan. Definitely.
Yeah. If you are a fellow Animal Crossing obsessive and looking for someone to share that obsession with, our Discord might be the place for you. we have a special room for that. DJ told me I can have a whole room to myself.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to lock you guys in there. But stay 6 feet apart, please.
Right, absolutely. We have to keep our distance. It's a great big room. We'll sit a couple of seats apart from each other. Yep.
I want to give a shout out to a couple streamers I've been watching a lot over the last few days, just trying to adjust to my new quarantine lifestyle. But I wanted to give a shout out to Nick Brecken, who's been doing Spelunky streams and some other stuff in the evenings. He's been doing like Good Morning Spelunky, where he'll just stream Spelunky for an hour or so in the morning, which is fun.
Oh, fun.
And then Sarah Podzorski, who has been doing a lot of Animal Crossing stuff and just kind of like games that are in a similar vein to Animal Crossing. Like a few weeks ago, she was playing, what was that, Lost in Blue survival game on the DS?
Oh, cool, yeah.
So again, you can watch those guys on Twitch. That's Nick Brecken. He's at Twitch/Idle Thumbs. And then Sarah Podzorski, I think, is Sarah Pods with a Z. Lots of fun. Lots of good, wholesome content for you to watch as you are holing up at home.
Eating your self-quarantine rations in the first day.
Yes, as you eat the last slice of bread in your pantry.
Yeah. One of my Twitter friends ate an entire box of Cheez-Its.
No,
in a day.
In a day.
I think it was supposed to last them a couple of weeks and got through it in one day.
Yeah, no, you gotta. That's not the point of having all the food. You don't gotta.
Yeah.
That's like you gotta approach it from an Animal Crossing mentality. Just don't do everything on the first day.
Right, exactly. You got to make it last. You got to prolong the joy.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. We'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.
Now I will retire to the living room where I will just sit wistfully and think about Taco Bell.